Hey guys, this is Logan Freeman, and this is the LiveFree Investors Podcast. I interview investors and business owners who share investment advice so you too can live free. Today I'm talking to Andrew. Andrew, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me on, Logan. It's really great to connect with you on LinkedIn and different
Absolutely.
social media. I think what you're doing is fantastic. So thank you for having me on.
Of course.
I'm Andrew Bermudez. I'm a former commercial real estate broker from Lee& Associates. I was there from 99 to 2012. Uh, I run a company called Digsy, and what it is a commercial real estate search engine and marketing engine for commercial real estate individuals who have properties for sale or for lease. And what we do is that's different from other people is most platforms when you're marketing your properties, they hit other professionals, people who are in
Yeah.
the market all the time. Our differentiator is mainly that we're putting these properties in front of the end user. So people who are typing on Google, investment for sale or this or that, or they're doing office space for rent or industrial property for sale, Utah. We basically market to them where they're at, and they're on
Yeah.
Google and also social media networks and things like that. So when you have a property, you're not listening to another broker. You've got other platforms to do that. We already know the usual suspects, but
Sure.
Digsy puts you in touch with the end user. There's two benefits to that. One benefit is the potential of doing dual commissions, or if your
Mhm.
listing doesn't work, run around with that buyer or that tenant so that you can find them space. So consider us almost like your inbound marketing engine for your listings and services, but our audience is 98% of them are end users.
Very interesting. And so, being a broker, I'm sure you had some insight into how to market properties effectively. But how did you get to this problem, right? Like, whenever I think about a business, you guys have a solution. What problem did you see in the marketplace that you wanted to go solve? And how did you figure out that what I would call technology, SEO, digital marketing, social media, how did that become sort of the solution, right? I mean, like, talk to me about how that transition happened.
Well, it goes back 2 decades, right? When one of my dirty secrets was when I was in high school and early college, I had to taught myself how to program.
Okay,
And I needed money. We all immigrated here from Ecuador. My parents didn't have that
sure.
much money. When we first moved here, we were living on food stamps, but I wanted to go to college. So I found a job at this company called Lee& Associates with somebody who was mentoring me. And the guy was a tenant rep. His name is Randy Mason, awesome broker, highly active on LinkedIn. So you guys should connect with him. Um, the one thing that I noticed was that I would be making all of these cold calls, right? And just even back then, just the return rate is not that great. You make
Yeah.
100 cold calls, somebody calls you up and says, you know what, we don't need anything, take me off your list.
Yep.
So it's a lot of time and energy invested. And when you first start, also it sucks to be rejected, but
Yeah.
you get over that pretty quickly. So the one thing that I did understand is like so the way that Lean Associates was configured back in that day was we had kind of like an L-shaped office with all corner windows. You had the newer brokers, the associates, senior associates and runners in the bullpen area. And
Yep.
then all the partners, kind of like a law firm, had all the private offices on the wing. And what I noticed was the senior associates, the people who were new vice presidents, which is a partner at Lee& Associates, you get profit sharing. So
Yeah.
like splits can be as high as like 90%. And then the partners, they would not be on the phone cold calling. There was very few of them. I want to say like maybe 1 out of 40 people were doing that.
Yeah.
But what I noticed is their phone would just ring, and they used to have like these little bound books that we would make them in house, where you'd write down the person's name, the listing they were calling on, their phone number.
Yep.
And a lot of these individuals, I started getting mentored by them. I would ask, okay, hey, can I get you to go to lunch? Like, what do you focus on, et cetera, et cetera. And what I found out was that all they did was focus on getting a listing, and then they get this ton of inbound leads.
Yep.
And what I did is I said, well, what's your biggest problem? It's like, just putting these prospect reports on Friday are just terrible.
Yep.
I don't have an assistant, and if I do, we're getting bogged down. I have to pay her or pay him. And what I understood, I'll do that work for you. So what I understood was that, hey, if these listings are getting that, I can actually provide value to that listing broker by doing his work.
Hmm.
And he or she would tell me what leads they wanted to run with and what leads I could run with.
Yeah.
Now, there's no technology behind this, keep in mind, but that started working really well for me. And then the data became really huge, pretty big. So then I created a little program where I could enter the information and track, okay, so I need to target people who are currently in the market between 3 to 5,000 feet or 5 to 10,000 feet. And when I'd close a deal, I'd pay that listing broker a
Yep.
referral. But I would be doing his work on a basis. And then I developed technology to kind of like, modify that program to kind of just say, okay, give me the report for Craig Fitter, or give me the report for, Brian Long.
Yeah.
So I would do that. And then what I ended up doing back then is nobody was actually blasting out emails with, keep in mind, this is like 99, 2000, 2001.
Sure.
Nobody was blasting emails with a picture like what you got to see from Amazon and things like that. So I went in and coded blasting these emails. And I did a couple things. Is I created a little website. Back then, SEO was super easy, by the way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all I would do was market all of these listings for brokers that we were working with and getting these inbound leads. And I know, okay, he's not going to want to answer that, but I'll put in the prospect report. She's not going to want to answer that, so I'll put in the prospect report. And I would run with these leads. And then I would grab those email addresses and I would blast this out. So if they didn't respond to me at the beginning, at least they see another listing.
Yeah.
And I started looking at things like, okay, can we do this on Craigslist, et cetera. Now, it does change when as you mature in the commercial real estate industry, because it doesn't make sense to run with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 square footer. You can't make a living and support a family doing
Yeah.
that. But so it did change over time. But the thing that was really, really interesting is, hey, people in the market are looking for what? Am I looking for a broker? I'm not. Most of the time, I'm looking for what's out there. So we understood that. And then I continued to do that. So I started picking up listings and doing a lot of things. We did a lot of experimentation with Twitter.
Yeah.
That didn't pan out. But the one thing is we were always testing things and experimenting. Like we would say to all landlords, hey, I know this is going to be stupid, but everybody talks about Twitter. This is back in like 2006. How about if we have a code for like free rent for the first month if they use this code and they came
Sure.
from Twitter? Sounds awesome. Never worked. But our landlords love the fact that we were doing these things, right?
Right.
And
Right.
we spent a lot of time and energy in SEO. The database that we had was king. So like whenever we'd list a property, I could already see who's in the market that would be a candidate for that. And then we could actually send a personalized email to those people that looked like we wrote it from Outlook, doing that. And if that property didn't work, then we would flip them into a tenant rep lead. And at this time I had 3 or 4 people on my team.
Yep.
And they would either run with it themselves or whatever.
Interesting, man. That's really, really cool. I like the idea of just you did the work to get into what I'll call the good graces of the guys who had the deals, right? And that's really, really important. But you heard a need, you asked about that need, and then you went and solved for that need. So so that was 20. You were there from 99 to 2012, right?
Right.
Okay. So from 12 to 20, what have you been doing?
So I actually, when I was at Lee, I saw an opportunity. This is a failure story. So basically, we all do as long as it's somebody else's. So one thing is that I remember, I think it was like in 2010 or it was 2008. So I had been done a lot of investigation, learned how to do short sales.
Okay.
And I remember like just looking in my Outlook for this one guy it was a broker, not at any of the big brokerage firms, just some random guy
Yep.
that had reached out to me with a perfect requirement. And then I picked up this listing and, it took me probably like 4 months to sell it, but I knew it would be perfect. And like literally spend like a week and go through like my thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of emails, could not find the guy. Ran a search, it was stupid. This requirement had come in the form of an image. You know how they embed an image so that you can't search the text, and Outlook search back then was terrible. It's a little bit better now. But long story short, what happened was around the holidays, I was cleaning out my email. I'm like, hey, this thing's a mess. So this was like several months later. And as I'm cleaning the email, I come across that email and I go, dude, wouldn't it be awesome if we can have like a database of all the requirements in the market?